A very warm good afternoon to everyone present here. I'm Nidhi Srivatsa. I'm an assistant professor of law at Faculty of Law, PES University, in this beautiful campus that you're seeing, which is very well lit up. And most of all, I'm a yoga practitioner. The minute someone says yoga, the terms that I usually hear is it must be about a rishi meditating on a far off mountain, and maybe something about a person performing numerous yogasanas, which is supposed to be extremely complex. Or usually what my students say is the fact that yoga is boring. So we don't really want to sit in one place and meditate for this long. Are all of this yoga, or is there something absolutely more to yoga? Is what I stand to tell you about. The show-off slide that I have put to you behind me is not to show that I can do asanas. Anyone can. So the whole point of why I put these is to tell you that let's start off with a very simple example. Let's say you're having a bad day at work, or you're having a bad day at class with 300 research papers, numerous assignments, having a lot of things where your faculties are not accepting your papers, and you have 300 thought process. You have to narrow down this 300 thought process into 30. And this 30 has to become 10. And that 10 slowly becomes 1, and that's the reason you need to meditate. And that's exactly what we preach in yoga, which is meditation. You don't have to stop your thoughts. That's not possible. Unless the psychology department has something new to tell me, I'm 100% sure that even if you are talking about one thought and one focus is what yoga helps you focus on. Coming to the next aspect, imagine you have an injury where you feel like this may be something which will never be cured. That perception is what yoga helps you change. Yoga ensures that no matter what, your injury may not be cured, but it will be reduced. It gives you that space to think, it gives you that space to calm down, it gives you that breath, it gives you the focus. Imagine you've had a bad nostril in the morning. You know how your nostril is blocked every day morning, quite literally? You can just perform a simple pranayama where you clear your nostrils and let it go. And that's exactly what yoga is. Yoga is not just asana, pranayama, meditation, but it is all of this. Yoga is wholesome. I want to have a very interesting story to tell you. I wish I had a very enlightening story where I can tell you I'm very insightfully into yoga. One random day I got a very nice thought and I entered yoga, but that's not how it worked. What happened was the fact that I was in class 5, what my students call grade 5. So at this point we had yoga classes, which was absolutely compulsory. The ones where you feel, oh, again I have yoga classes today, so I have to dress up, go perform the same asana that has been told to me for a couple of years at least. But that day, things changed. We had an annual function for which everyone was either into dance or drama or plays. But then, that was when I was introduced to my guru, to whom I owe my yoga career to, Shri P.R. Krishnamurthy sir. And he told, you look okay, you can practice yoga. So we will see. He never told, oh, you are greatly flexible, you can perform numerous yogasanas, let's get into yoga. That's not what he told. He literally told, you look fine, let's start practicing, we'll see where this goes. And once we started is when we started picking up with numerous asanas. And you know, when you are a 10-year-old, you feel like competing. You feel the need to compete in different places, and if that is possible through yogasanas, then why not? Just like how you have your district level basketball, let's say state level throw ball, national levels in the same, in a similar manner, I was introduced to this world of yoga, which is called yoga competitions. What do? Do you perform your asanas and let's say a meditation? We have only yogasanas, where you perform at district level, and thankfully you're selected to the state level, and then you proceed to the national level. And each day's practice was about 3 to 4 hours. Which I did not kind of expect. I was expecting a quick 15-minute fix and then probably we can get back. But that is exactly what gave me hope to go further in yoga. First, it started off with asana, slowly with pranayama, even though I was very bored with pranayama, and later on got into meditation at large. And that's exactly how yoga happened. And after which, I kind of took up this whole concept of yoga instructor course. And then I started teaching yoga. And thankfully have a lot of clients, let's say nationally and internationally. Also the fact that you don't have to wake up at 5 a.m. to do yoga.
The fact that you're sitting on a chair, you can move your hands, you can move your legs, that is yoga. You don't have to sit in a particular place with numerous good green background to be performing meditation unless you want to post it on your Instagram. If not, you just need a space to sit, breathe, relax. I understand that most of you feel Shavasana is the best thing that you can ever do and that's the best that yoga has ever produced. You can stick to that. You don't have to perform advanced yogasanas because someone else is performing advanced yogasanas. You can do what is the best for you, and that's exactly what yoga gives you. So to the crowd that's sitting here, instead of, when we were discussing with TED team also, we came up with this concept where, you know how we doom scroll on reels? You just reel over reel, a shot over shot over shot, and you're continuously doom scrolling, and suddenly you realize, what is the purpose of my life? Why exactly am I even doing this? What is my purpose? Like, what should I do? And that is when you get a quick fix. Let's say a quick Surya Namaskara, a quick stretch, a quick relaxation, and then you're good to go. That is where yoga comes in. Yoga is beyond your body type. Yoga is beyond what you call your vibe check. Yoga is beyond your aura. Yoga is literally, and I mean it, for absolutely anyone and everyone. Now I come to the next part of what I had to speak about, which is, I'm a lawyer before anything else. So why law? Why did I have to take up this whole concept of law? I have heard, at least from my students in class, which says, you argue so much, so you must become a lawyer. You know we have property disputes, so you should become a lawyer. These are things that we hear on a regular basis. I want to have like a very intellectual story to tell you that I watched Suits and I got into law, but I don't. I don't know how many of you are aware of this, probably with a raise of hands once I get into the story. So I come from a very simple upbringing where my grandmother used to watch this daily soaps on a daily basis. And it was called, there was a serial, it's a Kannada serial called Mukta. I don't know how many of you know, can I have a raise of hands with those who have, that's nice, not bad at all. So there was this one very interesting serial, right, called Mukta, which was by T.N. Sitaram. And it spoke about how lawyers go to the court. And that was my first exposure to law. And I genuinely thought that all the lawyers are standing together and presenting their case, not even tariq pe tariq, just direct. Go to the judge, your lordship, this is the case, we are done, I rest my case. So this is exactly how I saw Mukta, and I thought, wow, this is exactly how a court functions. So I must take up law. And fortunately, I took that way too seriously and got into law. Just to understand that the court works completely differently. For the fact that the lawyer is standing so far away from the judge, and it's just one lawyer carrying 300 files, running over up and down and presenting their cases, and the judge having 300 matters to dispose of in a day. Even then, I don't know how many of you know about this concept called moot courts. I think you would have heard of it from your friends. Moot courts are where you have a mock court, right? Like you have a mock setting of the court. And when you enter, you have that adrenal rush. When you present before the judge is waiting to grill you. So you know for a fact that your facts have to be right. And that adrenal rush is what got me into law. Law is an absolutely vast field. A field which is an art, which is also a science. It's not like one thing is law. It's not property is law, criminal law is law, civil is law. These are just bits and pieces. Like how asana, pranayama, meditation is all yoga. Similar way, criminal, civil, intellectual property, everything is law. And that exposed me to a new and wholesome field of law. Going further, this is something that I really wanted to talk about. And I specialize in this concept called intellectual property rights. See, as a lawyer, whenever a lawyer comes up with slides, right? So it's going to be very intellectual to the point, and it has to be very pointer based. We don't use unnecessary images, but I take excuse. So whenever you go to a law department, right, it's always about constitution, which is a mother provision, highly respect, but we derive different kinds of contemporary law, right? Now, for example, let's say ma'am is keeping a Zook bag. I'm wearing a Birkenstock. You probably ordered McD this afternoon unless you didn't eat the Domino's pizza that they gave you, right? All of it has one logo on it. It has a symbol. Your favorite, let's say a Nike, a Puma, any bag that you own, the brands that you crave for, all of it has a logo. And that logo is exactly what trademark is. And that is intellectual property rights, where you create, you get credit. And most of them criticize intellectual property law, saying that it's about money, but it is about money. So ultimately, we try and protect the trademark that there is so that nobody else infringes the same, right? Coming to the second concept here that you can see Covaxin there, I'm sure all of us got a shot. Either Covaxin, Covishield, Pfizer. This was invented by someone and you need to credit them. And that credit, my friends, is called patenting. And that is also intellectual property rights. So why we put a Tirupati Ladu on this particular poster is the fact that that is also intellectual property rights. How exactly is a Ladu intellectual property? How exactly is it even relevant? We're talking about a Dharwad Peda, Tirupati Ladu, your Banaras Sari, a Mysore Silk. What are all of this? All of this is your traditional way of protecting your world. I am proud to say Mysore Silk is from Karnataka. I am sure you're proud to say Dharwad Peda is from Dharwad, which is from Karnataka. And that we call a geographical indication. Each and every bit of what you like is what we protect under geographical indication. And that is also intellectual property rights. Coming down to a very, very famous poster that I'm sure most of you watched. With a raise of hands, how many of you watched Kantara? Brilliant. The rest of you should watch Kantara. So the whole point was not to make you watch Kantara, but to just tell you that this is protected under copyright. How many of you heard the song Varaha Rupam from the first set of Kantara? Great. How many of you went again to Kantara? In that bit, did you see when Varaha Rupam was taken off for a bit and then was brought in after a case was resolved? That's exactly what my topic is about. So I stand here to tell you that there was a copyright dispute between Thaikudam Bridge, which is a very famous band of Kerala, and we had a dispute between Kantara, which is Hombade Films in Karnataka. And gladly Kantara won the case and Varaha Rupam song was back into play. And now if you go to the theatre, you very well can see Kantara's poster with Varaha Rupam as well. Why am I talking about all of this? Is majorly to tell you, no matter what, you need intellectual property rights. Intellectual property is not a very far-fetched, some concept, some lawyer must know. Each and every one of you all will need it. You may be an engineer. You will apply for a patent someday. That's the ultimate goal. You may just want to register a trademark and start off a company. And that is where intellectual property creeps in. And let's say you just want to think about a film, a book that you read, or a movie that you watched, or let's say a drama that you want to watch, right? That comes under copyright. And lastly, an industrial design. The shape of this laptop, the shape of the stage, the beautiful decor that is created is your industrial design. And I stand to preach all of this as an intellectual property attorney. And this is what I wanted to cover. I don't have many slides to tell you anything else. But then you may ask, how is yoga and law related? These are absolutely two different concepts. I'd like to lastly conclude by saying that intellectual property rights has this concept called traditional knowledge. I'm sure many of you have heard about Ayush, Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, Siddha, and homeopathy. Now, this is not just a ministry. This is what talks about the whole concept of your traditional medicine. We have allopathy, we believe in allopathy, but we also believe in our own native knowledge. And that is where yoga comes in. So yoga was claimed by one country and was claimed to be their own kind of invention or a patentable invention of sequencing. And later, India creeped in to tell absolutely not. Yoga is our invention and we protect it very well so. But under what grounds do we protect yoga? Again, we protect yoga under intellectual property rights. It's not for the same reason that I took up yoga and law, but this happened and yoga gives you a platform to experience things, to focus, and to get yourself very composed in order to teach, in order to, let's say, go to a moot court or quite literally anything. So with that, I'd like to tell you something that I had been rehearsing for quite a while. Thank you for attending my TED Talk. Thank you and have a great day.